for my India, feather and that red dot. T-like on my head front, gunga on my head top, dripping down my dreadlock. Hunger cause I'm fed not.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the SoulWars podcast. This is me, Aisha Namara, your host. And we've got quite a show for you today. So we've got a bit of part one. We've got a little update here in terms of the SoulWars project, as well as a little bit of explanation in terms of the story, the general idea and understanding what the story's about without spoilers. Second, part two, we've got a couple more shlokas for you. So I've got 3 more verses from the Bhagavad Gita, as well as a definition of yoga. What is yoga? And part 3, we actually have some questions this time, so I'm looking forward to that. And a little bit of an update on the music. So let's get into it. Hi guys, so this is part 1, and so let's get into it. So first of all, we've got a little bit of an update in terms of the graphic novel is now in our first comic shop. So it's in Dave's Comics in Brighton, which is I don't know if you can see that. That's it there. So Dave's Comic, 3 and 5 Sydney Street, Brighton, BN1 4EN. So yeah, they've got a website as well, davescomics.co.uk. Got Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you want some comics, go check these guys out. And if you want to get the graphic novel and you're in Brighton, you can get it from there as well. Okay, so moving on. So really, I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of not how I made it, but more about when and why I made the graphic novel, as well as a little bit about the story. So when it comes to when and why, so during the last year of my uni degree, so I went very late in life, and I finished, I think in 2019, I think that's when I finished, just before the lockdown. I was basically commuting to London every day from East Sussex. So I had like a very comfortable train ride all the way to London Bridge. And I sort of was just sort of spending all the time just scrolling through YouTube. So I thought, let me do something productive with my time here. And I basically grabbed myself, which I'll show you in another episode. I grabbed a A4 lined scrapbook. And I sort of outlined the story somewhat, very limited outline there. And I just sort of started drawing and scribbling and basically just started writing and drawing at the same time, just as a way to sort of do something productive without ever thinking that I'd actually sort of see this through to any kind of finish. So it is quite interesting. And I did this, had other things in mind for why I was doing it. But to be honest, it just started off as something fun to do, and it's remained that way ever since. So yeah, that's sort of how and why I made it, but more of a, I suppose, external reason why. More of an internal reason would be when I went to India, as I told you before, in 2011, I went there for a year, and I sort of was reading the Vedas, and I said to myself, well, you know what, this is so beautiful that I myself I would never be able to think of something more beautiful than this. Instead, I should spend my time as a creative just preserving this, presenting this and sharing this, because it helped me so much personally with my spiritual life and my life in general, that it could also have the same effect for others. So that's sort of why I made it. The story itself is basically, it's based on the story of the Kalki avatar. So we know about this word avatar from the blockbuster movies, Avatar 1 and 2. So again, another franchise profiting off Vedic culture without giving any recognition to that said culture, you see. So one of the highest grossing movies of all time. And again, using the word avatar, and also having sort of a race of blue beings, which is quite obviously based on the blue depictions of the spiritual entities in Vedic cosmology, Vedic spirituality. So the Kalki avatar is something different, and avatar itself means one who descends. Yeah, so if you and descend from where? The spiritual realm, what we spoke about before, that distant divine realm, one who descends from there is called avatar. And in Vedanta, there are these, so the Supreme Lord, or the Vishnu, who is everywhere, is also Krishna, who is the all-attractive one. So he has his own incarnations, which he incarnates into this material world to basically save the world. And this is the future incarnation, the one that the people of the Vedas are still waiting for. So as I said before, there's been 22 avatars, including this next one. So yeah, so we can go, maybe another time we'll go into that. And if anybody wants a sort of more detailed description about the avatars, then just write that down there and I'll get to it. So this Kalki avatar, so Kalki comes from this word Kali Yuga. So he is the avatar of the Kali Yuga. So we are in the Kali Yuga, 5,000 years. And the Vedanta, I won't explain too much about it, but there are 4 ages, and the the sort of worst one is the Kali Yuga, which we are in. And it is said that when the stars align, when everything is right, and well, I suppose everything is that bad. Actually, he will come when the Kali Yuga is really bad. To save the people of the world, he will incarnate and he will destroy the minions of Kali as well as Kali himself. So the Vedanta explains that there is a being that is rooting this age in place, and that only Krishna himself can destroy this demonic figure. So this is that story of the Kalki avatar, and you know how he grows up and lives his life and learns sort of the hero's journey or whatnot. Won't say too much about it, although I have taken quite a lot of poetic license with this story, and I've also added a bit of satire. I've added sort of a lot of my favorite references, so there's a lot of kind of matrixy vibes, Blade Runner, obviously fantasy kind of vibes with magic and celestial powers or whatnot. So it's sort of like, you might say, like superheroes are in this in our culture in the West. In India, the superheroes are these figures who we're talking about, and Kalki avatar is depicted as riding a white horse with sword in hand, which is also the same depiction that is given in the Book of Revelations. So we have here this story, and it follows the hero story of the Kalki avatar when he incarnates in this material world. So that's a little bit about the graphic novel there. Hi everybody, welcome to the spiritual knowledge section. Yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, this idea of yoga. So many people in the West, they think about yoga as stretching and, you know, getting a yoga mat and doing some stretches and breathing and so on and so forth. That is a very limited and external understanding of what yoga is. In fact, when you see people stretching, it should be known that that's called Ashtanga yoga, or the yoga of 8 limbs. And this yoga, it is sort of more of a easy to access version of the yoga system, which is the great thing about Vedanta, that it's not sort of one path and that's all. Actually, there are myriad of ways that you can enter the Vedic philosophy. Some might be through cooking with the Ayurvedic food. Some might be through the medicine with Ayurvedic medicine. Some might be through this Ashtanga yoga practice. Some might be through, you know, cultural family traditions of going to temples and so on and so forth. Others might be spending time with spiritual people and spiritual masters if you're so lucky. So and then you have dance, you have martial arts, all different types of arts, and not to mention, obviously, we have music, Vedic music. So all these different forms of expression are Vedic forms of expression, which inevitably lead you to yoga. So what is yoga? Yoga means, so you have Atma. First, let's say Atma. We explained before. Atma is the soul, the spirit. And that soul and spirit is in a body. So it is called Jeev Atma. All right. So we have that. But then the question may come, where does the Atma come from? What is the source of Atma? Well, the source of Atma is Param Atma, or the Atma, the super soul, or the Atma that came before all Atmas. This is the Param Atma. So this yoga is actually the bridge which connects Atma and Paramatma. So we have, this is really the true meaning of yoga. So with that in mind, you can imagine that there are many different ways of yoga. Yeah, and even you can make your own way of yoga. You see, the Vedantic spiritual philosophy is not one of condemnation or judgment to say that if one is Muslim or Christian or Judaism or even New Age and making their own stuff up and, you know, worshipping trees or whatever, this is all fine. Krishna explained that it's better to have faith in something than faith in nothing. So, we sort of have this understanding that we accept all spiritual paths as true spiritual paths, but we present our own spiritual path. And this path is something that is time tested. Yeah. So how many sages have we, you know, well, maybe not everybody heard about, but thousands of sages have achieved perfection through the path of yoga. And this is this is our strength. This is a strength to say, actually, this path works. Yeah, because it's one thing that one can find a path or make up a path, and then at the end of that path, they realize they haven't achieved divine enlightenment. Yeah, they haven't achieved self-realization, and so have to look for another path. But we can say safely that the yogic path is one that can lead you to attain the true transcendental platform, the spiritual realm, and divine self-realization. And also the Paramatma, not to mention, can attain the Paramatma. So this is where our practices, this is what our practices are. And as opposed to other types of spirituality and so forth, yoga is not only the bridge between the Atma and the Paramatma, but it is the way to experience the Paramatma. See, one can say God is real to somebody, and they can say, well, prove it. Well, you cannot prove it. Neither can you disprove it. But what you can know for yourself is your own experience with it, with the Paramatma through your practice of yoga. This may be the sensations in the body. This may be some, you know, other things that are also mentioned in scripture. So that is the meaning of yoga. That is our path. And we practice what is called bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion and love. And this path has 9 limbs. Okay, so more about that. If you want to know more about that, then obviously write that down below. Okay, so now we're getting on to the questions. The shlokas here. So what I'm going to go over here is again from the Bhagavad Gita. Obviously, you can. It's a very amazing scripture. Spiritual scripture, totally transcendental, and one that always gives more the more you read it. And what I'm about to go through here is probably the most famous shlokas in the Gita. It is also very connected with what we spoke about before, the avatars. So here, this is from chapter 4, and we'll start. Ajopi san avyayatma Bhutanam Ishwaropi sam Prakritam swam adishtaya Shambhavami atma mayaya. So, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, and he is saying, although I am unborn and although my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original form. So let's explain. So it is to be understood that Krishna is saying he is unborn. This is one of the qualities of the Supreme Lord that is understood at the time by the people. The Lord is unborn. He is not. He is beyond birth. So he's saying, although I am unborn and therefore my transcendental body never deteriorates, because is it a one who is born in the material world that gets a material body that deteriorates. So Krishna is explaining that although he is unborn and so his transcendental body never deteriorates. See, we think of the body, the Jivatmas are the Atma in a body, and they are separate. And the body is material and the Atma is spiritual and eternal. But the Supreme Lord, his body and Atma are one. Yeah. So his body, his Atma, and his name and his pastimes and his qualities are all one. Yeah. So this is another understanding. Although the body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities. So we also say, okay, so let's take these great spiritual people at their word. Yeah. Because their word has stood the test of time. So, all the different people who have come, they have said, so Muhammad, he's saying, I am the last prophet, I am the prophet, whatever. And Jesus is saying, I am the Son of God. Yeah, like this. And so that we are accepting them at their word. So what is Krishna saying? He is saying here, and although I am the Lord of all living entities. Okay, so Krishna is being candid here. And this is because this is in the Mahabharata, one chapter of the Mahabharata. Krishna is pulling back the curtain here. He's saying, although I am in control, although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So he is basically saying, and also by the power of my internal energy, the Yoga Maya. So he is explaining that although I am the Supreme Lord, I still appear by my own potency in this material world. And that is Avatar. Okay? Moving on. This is the famous one here now. These next two famous shlokas. But everybody forgets the previous shloka, so it's good to put this one in. So, Yada yada hi dharmasya glane bhavati bharata abjotanam dharmasya tadatmanam sajjami aham. So, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So he is saying there, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice. So obviously in the Kali Yuga we cannot even imagine if there was not a time where religious practice was strong. But we have now in this Kali Yuga very materialistic societies and this sort of thing. So we are in that time more or less. But the Kali Yuga, as it goes on, it does get worse. And there's more to speak about that as well, as there is also a golden age happening simultaneously, which is something else to speak about. So he's saying, whenever there is a decline in spirituality and spiritual practice, O descendant of Bharat. So what is Bharat? Yeah, Bharat is actually the old name of the world. Yeah, so Vedic scripture explains that once the world was called Bharat and India was called Bharatvarsha, the island of Bharat. And Bharat so even in India today they call it Bharat. Yeah, so everybody in India knows that India is Bharat, but the Vedic scriptures say that the whole world was Bharat and India was Bharatvarsha, and the whole world was governed from India. And this is something, again, we can get into another time. So, O descendant, in fact, this is what this war is about. It's actually about the governance of this world. Yes, and this only happened 5,000 years ago. So, you imagine. So, so whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice, O son of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So he's also saying, and then when irreligion rises, at that time he will incarnate himself. So this is, he's explaining when, the reasons for his incarnations. Yeah. And also, Paritrayaya sadhunam vinishaya cha dushkutam dharmo samstapanataya shambhavami yuge yuge. So, to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So this word for religion, so okay, let's break it down, then I'll get into it. So to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants. So which one is more important? So he is saying, firstly, first reason is to deliver the pious, to save those souls. And how does he save those spiritual people? It is to destroy the separation. Yeah, because we know this material world is the world of separation, because we are separated from, not from each other, because this is normal. It is from the Supreme Lord. So we can be in this world and have no understanding that actually there's someone behind the curtains pulling all the strings. So this is the world of pain, because it is the world of separation from him. So he is saying to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants. So the miscreants, time and time again in Krishna's incarnations, whether it be Ram, destroyed Ravan, yeah, whether it be Nrsimha destroyed Hiranyakashipu, and Varman, he didn't destroy Bali, but he thwarted him nonetheless. So many ways in which the demons gain control. See, this is the issue. When the demons gain control, then the problems happen. So when the demonic people, the Rakshas people, when they get into power, they cause so much problems for the people underneath. So really, you'll see most people are good nature. It's the people on the top who are making everything mad here. So in the same way, the Kalki Avatar is going to destroy the miscreants who have led this world to destruction. So, and to re-establish the principles of religion. So he himself, when he comes to this world, he preaches, he spreads this spiritual knowledge to the people of the world in order to help them. And so he says, whenever these things happen, I myself appear millennia after millennia. So this is age after age, and the incarnations we have from inside the Vedas, they span thousands and thousands of years, even hundreds of thousands of years. So it sort of blows out the water, the theory of evolution and all these things. But he is saying, but the word for religion, so we have this understanding of religion to be bad, right? In our modern day, so people say, oh, this guy is religious. Oh, no, that's not good. Because why? Because firstly, religions have been used for material purposes, whether that be to take control of different things, to destroy other people, to cause havoc, as we know with the establishing of the Christianity across the world, and so on and so forth. So religion has been used for nefarious means. So this is one reason. Another reason is because I think personally that people have not had the realization of divinity. Yeah, this sort of thing happens through association. So if you are not having association of divinely, spiritually enlightened people, then one can quickly become not evil, but as we spoke of last week, materialistic, yeah, which is the opposite of spiritual. So therefore, religion is bad. Yeah. Another reason in this Kali Yuga, everything good is seen as bad. Everything is upside down in Kali Yuga. And as I say, next time we can speak about the yugas as well. But that means that things that are actually good, as actually in truth, religion is good. It can make you a better person. It can make you have divine realization. So in truth, it is good. But due to the effects of this Kali Yuga, etc., we think it is bad. But the word being used here is not religion. It is translated from the word dharma, which is a much more expansive and wider, a wider word, a word with a lot more meaning. Yeah, so we'll speak about that. I'll give a little definition now, but dharma means, we'll talk about this another time because it's a very fascinating and deep word, but it basically means the righteous way. So it is not a static thing, it is a path, but it is the righteous way, or the intrinsic righteous way that is also natural. So all of these things combined means dharma, right? So in one word, how advanced such people were that they could have words with such depth and meaning. So when he's saying when there is a decrease in religion and an increase in irreligion, it is a decrease in dharma, and same of dharma. So he's saying as well as to re-establish the principles of religion or dharma, he descends himself. So that was our spiritual point. That was our spiritual section. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time. Remember, if there's any questions or anything you want to know about spiritual stuff or anything that we mentioned here, just write down below in the comment section. That way we'll get some nice engagement and I will sort of get to know what people think. Okay, thank you, and on to the next section. Hi everybody, welcome back. So we are now in the Q&A section, but before I get into that, just a quick little update on the music side of things. So I will be releasing the song Nah on the 20th of next month. So the 20th of May, that's when the song will be releasing. And if there's any updates about that, I will let you know. I may decide to release it a bit earlier, but let's see. That's my date for now. So soon, all streaming platforms and all that kind of stuff. And if you want, I might bring it forward. It's up to you, you let me know. But yeah, that's coming out 20th of May. I did a performance of the song Palestine at a Palestinian freedom event thing. So that's cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a clip right now.
Cause they're farmers from their lands, no more money in their hands, oh Palestine. Uprooted olive groves, the future no one knows. Yo, there's blood upon the roads, oh my sweet Palestine. You struggle for your land, with the memories at hand. For the right to live you stand, oh powerful Palestine. Don't give up, don't you lose it down the line. Oh, we could never understand your rough music, Palestine. From the right to the left, and what was left in between. You were the victim of a dream, persecuted Palestine. From the bullets and bombs and the checkpoints and lines, your strength is insurmountable, beautiful.
Thank you. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. That is only a small snippet of the song, but yeah, apologies for the sound quality and all that kind of stuff and the video quality. It was just off our phone. But yeah, it was really nice, very nice, you know, Palestinian solidarity sort of event, and they raised, I think, around £10,000 for some aid company. I don't remember the name. But anyway, that's that. So excellent. So now on to the questions. So this one is coming from SMG 6320. Don't know who that is, but big shout out to you for actually asking me a question. So the question is, how did you manage to get it in Dave's comics, and what's next? Yeah, so I suppose the way that I got into Dave's comics, by the way, thanks for the question. So I basically walked in the shop, started talking to them. I said, listen, I've got this graphic novel coming out soon. This was before I got them over here. And I said, look, would you guys be interested, or would you guys be interested in supporting me and hosting it in your shop? They were just like, yeah. So I said, okay. So that was it. So yeah, when I got them, I just went back into the shop with a couple of them and I said, look, here we go. Do you mind doing it? They put me on the books. So again, big thanks out to Dave's Comics. I had the card. Don't know where the card's gone, but yeah, yeah, big thanks to them. And that's how I did it. So what's next? Next is just carry on, I guess. I'm sort of working this out as I go along, but there are quite a few things going on at the same time. Mainly, I'm trying to get it into schools. That is really what I want to do because, you know, there is not really any Hindu representation in schools. And also, there are no Hindu graphic novels. And obviously, I'm using the word Hindu in brackets. But yeah, anyways, I'll explain that another time. But anyway, yeah, that's my next step. I'm trying to get into schools and maybe even do a pop-up or somewhere. I'm not too sure. Another thing that's going to happen is there will be a launch part. There'll be a launch, official launch, and then a launch party. So I'll keep you guys up to date with that. So yeah, that's that question. So thanks, SMG. Next one is coming from Ed here. This is my guy from the old school days. Yeah, growing up in Hackney, my guy. So he's actually really good on the decks as well. So he's got the scratching and all that. You can do, you know, proper hip hop scratching. But yeah, that is my guy Ed. So you still spitting fire bars? Yeah, of course, all the time. So let's talk a little bit about the bars. So I've got a few more coming up right now. You can obviously check my YouTube, scroll through that. There's a bunch of stuff on there. I've been focused more on my band. So we're actually looking to take these bars out on the road. We're going to start doing some performances and that. But I'm still going to have a few YouTube videos. And Ed, let me know if you want to do a session. That would be great. Also, I've got a new one coming out soon, which is called Warmongers. And this one is obviously for us to know who's really, you know, doing the thing. So it's about the warmongers, these guys making money off all these wars, yeah? So for us, war is terrible, but for them, war is great, yeah? So yeah, I've got a few, that coming out. Also, I've got a few more lyrics. So nowadays, I write my lyrics in the car. I don't even write them down. I just remember them. So the last few songs that you will look on my YouTube are not written down. So I've sort of got a new kind of technique, but really I would like to just be able to have the time to write. I literally just write while I'm driving. But yeah, I would like to actually be able to sit down and write some stuff out and, you know, like spend time crafting projects. I have been working on a few projects in the background, musically speaking, but I'm going to keep those unannounced as of yet. So that's that. Thanks, Ed. Next one is up from Zach here. So Zach's saying, what do you do for work? Do you work full-time or part-time to fit in? So I think what he's saying there is, what do you do for your job? And do you work full-time or part-time, and how do you make things work? So the answer to that is, yeah, straight up full-time right here. You know, we've got to pay the bills, so I'm literally a professional juggler right now. I'm just juggling everything, juggling the SoulWars, I'm juggling the music, working, all that stuff in between. So yeah, I don't really know. I just I had while I was at uni, I had a little bit of I made a decision to just say yes to all opportunities, and from that moment on, my life just became a lot more hectic. So yeah, I in terms of, I would like to go down to part-time, especially because I want to actually work on the second edition of SoulWars, the second part. There will probably be 3 parts in total, but yeah. So what I do for work, I'm a game design teacher, so I teach video games, and that's what I do. Oh, and I also work with a games company, Moonboy Universe, so check those guys out. You can download it all from the Play Store. They got a demo out right now called Moonboy. And so thank you again, Zach. Thanks for your question. And moving on to Ollie. So Ollie is asking, how long did you spend on SoulWars, and what was your favorite part in writing it? So thanks for that, Ollie. So Ollie is from Moonboy, so thanks, Ollie. Yeah, so how long did I spend on SoulWars? I spent 5 years on this project. Yeah, so 5 years of my life went into this project. However, the first 3 were kind of, how to say, relaxed. That's probably the best way to say it. So the first 3 weren't very I have to do this. It was more creative and more free form. And then the second 2 years were actually the years of lockdown. And so, as I said before, while I was in uni, I started scribbling this stuff down, and I finished the whole story. And then I painstakingly redrew all these scribbly sketches in Photoshop and put it on the back burner for a while. So what I was actually doing, I kind of somehow knew the stages that had to be done. So I knew that I had to get it on the computer, and then I knew that I had to develop the art style, which is something I'm going to speak about next one, in the next podcast. But basically, when I developed the art style, I was able to apply that art style on all my pages. And my favorite part in writing it, I think, was when I just had that scrapbook and I was just scribbling stuff, because it was so free. You know, it was my project. It was told, the rules were up to me. The rules of this universe were more or less up to me. I had a basic framework to work within, which I think was also very helpful. And that was my favorite part in writing it. So thanks for that, Ollie. And there we go. So thanks everybody for tuning in for the episode 2 of Soul Wars. This was, thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next one. Okay, everybody, so thanks very much. That is the end of our episode 2 today. Hope that you all enjoyed. Remember, like, share, comment, and all that kind of stuff. And if you've got any questions, check below. And if you want your own version of the Soul Wars graphic novel, then you can go to my website, aishanamara.co.uk. That's all written there in the bottom. So yeah, look forward to sending them out to you. And until next time, I'll see you then. Hare Krishna.
And that red dot, T-Lac on my head front, Gunga on my head top, dripping down my dreadlock. Hunger cause I'm fed, not searching for them grains, discarded by the market after closing for the day. Viewing all equal, knowing everyone's the same.